Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Hold on a second. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Man, look at all the beautiful people. Hold on one second. All right, let me get in here. Good morning. Man, we got more and more people joining and just jumping in like crazy right now. Thank you all for being on the call this morning. My goodness. Mr. Bree Clemens, can you handle the, okay. All right, thank you so much. Somebody handle that for me. All right, let me get this closed up and get this party started. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in the call this morning. We got a great call lined up for you. Thank you so much. Hey, I'd like to thank the regional director, Mr. Marvin Carter out in Fresno, California, for joining us. Mr. Chris McDowell, thank you so much. I'd like to also thank Caroline Baker. Thank you so much. Mr. Ismail down in Mexico. Thank you for joining us, sir. Man, hold on a second. My phone is, everybody is just trying to get in here one time. Hold on, man. Okay, there we go. All right, Mr. Ismail in Mexico. Mr. Julian Lewis, regional director down in San Diego. Thank you, sir. Ms. Castro down in Phoenix, Arizona. Mr. Payon, sir, out in Japan. Thank you for joining. Ms. Jones out in South Carolina. Thank you for joining. Mr. Ryan Swallow, thank you so much from Sacramento for joining. Miss Caroline Jones in South Carolina, I would just say that. Miss Evelyn Phibbs, another regional director in Fresno. Miss Marie, thanks for joining. Miss Pat Robinson out there in Oakland, I see you, dear. Miss Tamara McDonald, thank you so much in San Diego. Mr. Winston Herbert, thank you so much. Sergio out in Mexico, thank you so much. Man, look at this, man, I tell you what, all over the world. Miss Belinda Batiste, thank you so much. Miss Angelina in Fresno, thank you so much. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Bill. Where's Mr. Bill Howard? There he is. Mr. Bill Howard, thank you, sir. Miss Delilah down in Colorado, part of the Baker organization. And our school teacher up in Nashville, Miss Dominic Young, thank you so much for being on the call. Frank and Patricia Harris out in Elk Grove, California. Mr. Tim Bernard, thanks so much in Minnesota. Love the Texas, my friend. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Love it, love it, love it. Hey, folks, we got a great call lined up for you today. Let's see how many participants we have on here so far. Oh, my God, they're still popping in. I still can't get, okay, we're up to 52. Okay, hey, we got a great call lined up. Let me talk about this young man. He's been on here several times. I called him and asked him to join us today. He lives in the greater Houston, Texas area. He told us his age, 55 years old. He's a business owner. Great part of his life, he's worked at corporate America. But he had some quotes the last couple times he's on with us that I written down in my journal. And one of the quotes was, the greatest time to be an ACN is right now. From a business owner perspective, that's true. Number two thing he said that was very instrumental for me. He says, always be reinventing yourself. Reinventing yourself. That's right, not your downline, no, you. And number three thing he said, it was very powerful. He says, faith is the key. Faith is the key. And the fourth thing he said that was very powerful for me is pain of change versus progress. And he says, change is painful, but progress is successful. Wow. And not only that, but this young man, you know, he tells some great stories. He was on here to see May 12th. My notes on May 12th, he was talking about faith get started. He was talking about the ark and the farmer. Oh, man, I got all those stories. And he has some great, great analogies. I love the analogy he did about the airplane on May. That's another one that came May 26th. He did an analogy about the airplane, while airplanes don't have rear view mirrors or side mirrors. And that was very powerful. Well, anyway, I'm not going to say any more because that was a part of my notes. I hope you guys have been taking notes on all the speakers, especially this gentleman here. He hails, like I say, from Houston, Texas. He's a business owner in his own right. He's been an entrepreneur for many, many, many years. It is a lot of wisdom. And without further ado, my dear friend, the great Mr. Dwight Williams. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. You know, it's amazing to be introduced by a great man that says you're great. That's the craziest thing, isn't it? That all of this young man has done, and he's calling me great. I'm sitting there thinking, is he talking about me?
You know what's funny, sir? Every time I send a letter out or anything I send out in the mail, anything I send out, I still do mail sometimes, I always put the great on it because I think God made everybody great.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He doesn't make junk. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
He does not. it is a plum pleasing pleasure to be here today. So I am really excited. I would love for it to be a conversation more than just a talk, but however it works itself out, I am really glad to be here today. I missed you guys. I've been on and off, but it has been an incredible time. I wonder sometimes. I know we're in quote unquote what most people say are challenging times, and I often struggle with kind of those statements sometimes. But how's everybody making it through these times right now? Everybody good? I know we're challenged. I know but often our greatest opportunities show up when we are faced with our greatest time. I've heard Mr. Thomas say it, that if you look at the Chinese dialect, it has the word crisis is the same word they use for opportunity. And it's a true statement, isn't it? Because most opportunities are the product of something that needs to be, it's a challenge that you're facing. I mean, the automobile was, we couldn't have traveled the United States and the territories that we lived in without an automobile. We could only go so far with a horse. Then the airplane comes along. Now we can cross waters. So anytime we innovate, innovation is often birthed in challenge. And so I'll remember my hammer example, and it's one of my favorite statements. I have a few favorite statements, but this one. How we relate ourselves to a situation will determine the results we get. And that is a completely correct statement, and one that I live by. How I relate myself to something determines the results I get from it. And so often we'll catch ourselves seeing a thing from definitely me. I have to catch myself sometimes and say, whoa, Dwight, what are you seeing? Because we have to be careful how we see things, isn't it? Because the way we see things determines our thoughts about that thing. And our thoughts about a thing determines the words we say about that thing. And out of the abundance of the heart, am I right? The mouth speaks. And what we are, as a man thinketh in his heart, that's who that man is. And so we have to understand how all of the puzzle pieces connect. And so they all begin with my interpretation of the circumstance or situation that I find myself in. And if I interpret that thing in a negative way, then those are the results I will get. So I challenge my family. I challenge. So I want to start with something that I've been talking to a lot of people about recently, and it's related to where we're at, and then we're going to move forward because Mr. Thomas is correct. This is the greatest time, but if you don't see this as the greatest time in ACN history, then you'll miss the opportunity. But I'm gonna tell you, this is the greatest time in ACN history. I was talking to some individuals not very recently, and they were saying, Dwight, in ACN, where do you really see the opportunity? And I'm saying, when in ACN, where do you not see the opportunity? And they're saying, well, I mean, dude, I mean, it takes a long time. It takes as long as it takes for you to believe. Well, wait, whoa. So what do you mean by that? The time that it takes for a person to do something has nothing to do with the work or the hardness of the work that he has to do. It only takes the time that it takes that person to make the decision to believe in that thing, and everything accelerates from that point. Well, they say, well, I'm lost because I believe. Well, no, do you believe? Because believe is you live what you have become. That's what believe is. That's why belief is the life of what I have become. And so you say, well, then why am I not successful in the business? because you have not yet begun to live what you say you have become, or maybe you just simply haven't become that thing. So it's impossible for you to live it if you have not become it. And so they say, well, what do I need to do to become it? Well, you have to become that thing that you see. Well, I'm lost. Yes, absolutely, because you have to develop. And so I see people's, and so I've told so many people this statement. It is a beautiful depiction. I see so many, particularly young people who stand at the base of the mountain, look at the peak and say, that's where I need to be. That's where I want to be. Why am I not there? Because you haven't climbed. Wait a minute. So the process of climbing is what makes you become that thing. So many of us get so caught up in the destination that we miss out that the journey is what's really, and we hear that, it's a cliche statement, but it is a true statement. Every step of the climb up to the peak of the mountain changes the person that you are. Each pull, each step, you become a new person. Why? Because it takes change to advance or progress in life. And most people say, it makes sense, but let's really keep it simple. I'm where I'm at because of who I've become thus far. If I progress forward one step, it means that I have become something different. That's why I've progressed. So if I want to progress another step, that means I've got to make a different change. And each time I make a different change and an improvement in my life, I begin to climb that mountain and I keep making steps. And so I was talking to another young person earlier today, and I had been observing them for quite some time. And I had seen how much progress they had made and how much success they had been having. And the conversation I was having with them, I could see in their face that they were really kind of taken aback, not really discouraged, but taken aback. And I said, why are you, what's going on? Because it's just taking a long time. Oh, okay. Well, the difference now is our first conversation months ago, you were at the base of the mountain. And they're saying, what do you mean? You're at the base, you hadn't even started. But I've seen you make progress in your career, make changes in your life. And notice, because of certain changes that you made in your life, it saved you from what you would have been facing in COVID had you not made that change. And when that person began to see, because often we can't see the forest for the trees, am I right? Because life keeps a tree in front of us. There's always a tree to cut on. But what we never do is look behind us to see all the trees that have been cut for us by God. And if we ever took some time to turn around and look at all the trees, we'd realize, wait a minute, if he cut all these trees, he'd cut this tree. Then I don't have to really worry, but we do, don't we? We say, why am I not progressing? Why am I not, whoa, turn around and look. I was here 2 years ago. And once I had her begin to look, she was like, oh, I was doing this 2 years ago. If I had not made the change, I would be facing a crisis in this COVID-19. But because I had the courage to make that change, I was able to progress. And now I'm not being affected by COVID-19. But because she never took the time to take and look back, she's climbed up half the mountain and she's looked back and says, you know what? Why haven't I gotten to the peak? No. You just have to keep climbing. You can't stop climbing. You may not be at the base, but you're also not at the peak. And so what do I need to climb? Once again, what is it that you don't know that you need to know to take the next step, to progress the next move up? Because I had a gentleman that he had a statement, he was a minister, and he says, every breakthrough in life is a breakthrough in what he called revelation knowledge. Now, ministers talk about rhema word and all of that, but the truth is, revelation knowledge is knowledge that you don't just read, but you understand it so much that it convicts you. You become convicted of that thing that you just understood. And what conviction does is it produces action, which produces change. So when I'm convicted of something that I just learned, that thing convicts me so much that it causes me to take action, which produces change in my life. And so every step in life is based on that. And so most people say, then what do I need to go to the next step? What do I need to go to? I tell, there's a group of young men that I spend time with, and we laugh and they play. They know they're little triggers for me. I'm gonna tell this story. I grew up in the church, and I grew up in an inner city church. And so I would hear these statements, and I heard them all my life, building funds, and we're going to the next level. And so as I began to develop as a young man, I began to see people would get emotionalized over the word. We're going to the next level, and then I see them walk right outside the church and start doing fish fries, which is something they've been doing for the last 30, 40 years. And I'm thinking, you can't have change without making change. So it's the words of I'm going to the next level, I'm going to do this. It has to be a product of knowledge that you come into that causes you to be convicted, that produces action, that then produces change. Without that, there will be no progress. You can't progress without that. And the truth is, it really is as simple as that. So if you're sitting there saying, I need to go to the next step, then there's something that you need to know, or a piece of information that you need to get that will take you there, or a series of pieces of information. That's all you have to do. You mean to tell me I don't need to go meet this guy unless that guy's got a piece of information that you need to get from him? Nope, you don't. You mean to tell me I don't need to sign up for a new meeting? No, not if he doesn't have the information that you need to find that information, because the key to progress is knowledge. Knowledge is the key. Because it is the lack of that knowledge that has you where you are today. It is the knowledge that you've attained thus far and the knowledge that you don't have yet that has caused you to be where you are today. So how do I progress? How do I become a better networker? Go learn what great networkers do. Well, how do I do that? Look on your screen. You've got one of the greatest networkers in the industry sitting right here on this call. Well, then help me understand, why am I not progressing? Because you may not be implying what he's teaching. No, it can't be that simple. Matter of fact, actually, simplicity is the key. Complexity only creates paralysis, which limits progress. Simplicity produces action, which produces progress. And the greatest and most intelligent and capable individual leaders are the ones who make everything simple. So if you're attracted to people who complicate or make, I hate that word, that make things complex, then because I have to be careful of the words I use. The working mindset compensates for inaction with the exhaustion that comes from complexity. So what it does is it makes everything complex, so it justifies the amount of time it takes to do it. So then it takes forever. In most cases, it never gets done. But they can always say, yeah, but the only reason it didn't, because we still got 12 more steps we got to get done. We got to get these 8 more steps done. That's why it hasn't gotten done yet, because we got, no. But the people who really make money, who actually produce success and progress, they simplify everything. Why? Because I can tell you, I know Mr. Thomas, and I'm going to tell you why they do it. Because it's got to be done in the next 5 minutes. I got to do it the next minute. That's why. So, and I can't get it done in the next minute if it's something that takes 12 steps. And so that is the mindset of wealth. They're like, hey man, simple. It has to be simple. Why? Because I got to get it done now. Complex. If I make it complex, it'll take days to get done. And wealth does not like time. Every expenditure of time is burdensome for the wealthy. And so complexity is tied to time. It is a function and factor of time. And whenever that happens, they avoid it. Why? Because they don't have time. They never have time. Any questions?
If anybody has a question, you could either unmute your phone and ask the question with your name first, where you're calling from, and your question. Name first, where you're calling from, and your question, if you have any. You know, another thing why we're waiting for a question, you said something about always reinvent yourself. Always reinvent yourself. That was the second thing on my list that I wrote down that you said in a quote prior. So will you kind of expand on always reinventing yourself, sir?
Yes. This is a good conversation. You know the one thing that really surprises me, and I understand why we do it from an edification standpoint and leadership standpoint, but the truth be told, Mr. Thomas is the personification of everything we're talking about. So now I'm going to talk to you about why. Notice the calls he's doing. One of the things wealthy people do, this is a trait of wealthy people, is that, let me show you a few different, and I may have talked about this before, and these are levels. And so working class mindset, the reason work is something they resonate toward is because it produces, it reduces responsibility, and it allows somebody else to tell me what to do, which creates a rhythm and a pattern for me, which minimizes disruption. So if you look at scales, so way over here is that mindset. Well, the wealth mindset is way on the other side. Let me tell you why. And so then you've got the middle. The middle is the mindset where I put myself in situations where I'm leaning to comfort, but life is disruptive. And so I'm finding myself in this constant conflict of the disruptions in life that are constantly interrupting my comfort, right? But then the wealthy mindset goes a step beyond. They disrupt. They don't wait to be fired. They don't wait for the boy to break up with them. They don't wait for the bill to be delinquent and the service to be cut off. They disrupt their own situations. So my wife and I have been entrepreneurs for years, and I love it. I've been married for 33 years, and I'm the same when my wife is the crazy one. I'm gonna just say that she's not here, so you always blame the person that ain't in the audience. So I'm blaming her. She the crazy one. I'm the same one. So. But the truth is, she and I have had, we never, since we've been married, we've never worked for anybody. My last job, I can tell you, I'm 56. My last job was when I was 25, 26 years old. Now, so 30 years. Now, why am I bringing that up? We made a decision. She'll swear it was me. And so my background is systems, IT, and I did IT all over the world. And Mr. Thomas and I have talked about this. Even if I went on the circuit, on the market right now, the corporations would try but I just don't want to do that. And let me tell you why. We live in a world right now where the economics have changed, the opportunities have shifted in such a way, they're everywhere. Think about this. When I started my career, most people who had money that needed to be multiplied hired a broker. Now, there are 1,000 apps that are better than any broker could ever be sitting in this handheld cell phone. Meaning you can high frequency trade, you can trade foreign exchange, you can tell stocks. And so, and I'm answering Mr. Thomas's question. Then you've got marketing, you've got network marketing, you've got digital marketing, you've got all these tools, you've got social media, you've got social media marketing, you've got all of these things. So think about a young man like Mr. Thomas, who was at the top of his game without all of these tools. No tools. What he's gonna do in the next 5 years compared to what he's done in the last 30. You gotta think about that now. You have to think about that. Where you are right now is the nucleus of a transition and a reinvention in his career. He's reinventing himself right now.
Look at the calls. Notice these calls have been happening over the last several months. I recognize when he started this process, he's reinventing. He's starting over, but he's taking all the digital and redoing himself, and he'll what is it called? He'll compound what he's learned using these technologies. So he asked me, how do you reinvent? And what is it about reinventing yourself? I won't go back. I slipped up and put my name on LinkedIn. And because of my career, I have a reputation worldwide. Companies start sending me saying, we got a CTO position open. I'm not going back. I'm not. Could I live a secure life? Absolutely. I already do. But nothing will scale compared to what we're doing today in this business. Think about just electricity alone. And this is something I think about all the time. My competition has buildings full of people sitting in front of computers, making calls all day. And they are billion-dollar companies. I have the ability to play in the same waters, the exact same way, without the overhead. Now, because I don't have that, I have other challenges. Yes, I do. That's business. But my business is next generation. Their business is last generation. So they're still doing their business on computers with employees in buildings. That is not the future. You think the Uber boys are trying to go out there and buy a bunch of cars? They're not. But name me a car dealership you think is worth more than them. Name me a transportation company, a yellow cab or a taxi company that you think is worth more than Uber right now. And Uber, check this out. Here's the beauty of an Uber company. Have not made a dime. And their market valuation is many times the money they make. Think about that now. So Uber has attracted people to invest in them, and they're losing money. Whereas yellow cab out here can't get a dime. So you live, I assure you, you live in the best possible time this planet has ever seen. That a young man, 18, 19 years old, in his PJs, in his bedroom, can compete with the electricity company right down the street from him. And my son is wrapping up his career and was in ACN. And I would always tell him, son, I would bring his check to him when he was studying, because he was in school. I would bring his check to him and I would say to him, son, this option was not available to your grandfather. You need to know that. So the world has changed drastically. And so you need to make sure you're keeping up. You can't get the benefits of where we are living in your grandfather's time. So you guys live in by far the greatest time. It is independent of age. It is independent of culture, background. Technology is the ultimate democratizer. And it is changing the world, I'm telling you. And so if you're thinking any other way, if you're thinking, hey man, I need to hire a bunch of people. And so me and Mr. Thomas have talked about this. And I had mentioned to him, I said, Mr. Thomas, let me tell you something. I know we're talking to people who have jobs and are employed, but here's the tricky piece. The next step they believe may be business ownership, but it is not. It is not. This is a broker economy. You need to skip business ownership. The world now, Uber has no overhead. Think about that. Airbnb, they don't own the houses. They just own the platform, which is what you have. You have a world-class platform that has, even that was created for you. The difference, your deal is even better than Uber because you didn't have to pay for the platform. The platform was provided to you. They had to at least spend the millions of billions of dollars to build that platform. Somebody has built it for you. There's a legal team who spends all of their time negotiating contracts to give you better deals to make money on. You don't even have to go negotiate the contracts. All you got to do is connect a customer to the platform and you make money. You cannot find me a better deal. If you can find me a better, if anybody asks, if you present me with any other alternative approach, I promise you, you cannot compare it to this. And you can do it right now. I have thought this thing up one side and down the other. I am prepared. I can discuss this actually on the fly because I've been an employee. I've been self-employed. I've owned a business. I've worked in the C-suites of I worked for a vice president of MCI. We're in the telecom business. I worked for a VP of MCI. He was my boss, direct. I reported to him, and I was 20 years old. So I have seen most of the stuff, and I'm telling you, I couldn't imagine having a 2 or a 3 in front of my number right now, living in this time, and then having access to ACN's platform. I couldn't imagine it. We wouldn't be talking, I'll tell you that much. I may do this presentation with Mr. Thomas, but what? See, you got to understand. And you say, well, why just because you have a 5, what does it matter? Because I have kids and a family. So I'm at a different stage in my life right now. And not to say that limits me, but it is simply, it is what it is. It is a different stage. But believe you me, when I was 20, I ran like a gazelle. You give me ACN's platform, and I would fly like an eagle.
You know, Mr. Williams, that was powerful, that brokerage platform. And I think a lot of people got that. You know, what's interesting, I was on the phone talking to I had 2 of my RVPs on the call earlier, the 3 of us talking. And I said, look, man, do you realize what has happened since March the 18th? I said, I may never travel again for AC. Look, like yesterday, I was in 3 countries, 5 states, never left my house. And I was home for dinner. Exactly what you're talking about. Look, I put this on my desk when I came back from the last international. Online money. That's what we got. We got a business, online money. And people are still trying to wait for the good old days to come back. That's gone.
No. If it comes back, for me, it's gone. As a matter of fact, I'm kicking myself for not doing it before this. Why? See, remember our conversation about disruption?
Yes.
We should have did this ourselves. We should have never waited for COVID to do it to us. We should have did it to ourselves. We knew better. Zoom has been here before February or January this year. There's been online video before now. Why did we have to wait to be forced into this? Why didn't we do it ourselves? We should know better. Well, I'm not waiting anymore. I talked to a group of people. I said, you know what? I'm kicking myself. Let me give you a perfect example. Here's a great example. And I don't know if you'll be familiar with this, but this is a tech example. This is the story of 3 companies that you're familiar with. Microsoft was a juggernaut in the 80s. They were a booming company, and the internet hit. Okay, the company that had the greatest position to benefit from the internet was Microsoft. But they were so distracted with what they were doing, and they were so confident in their position that they missed it. That if Microsoft had not missed the internet, you wouldn't be talking about Google the way you are. But Google didn't miss it. And the reason you have these monster companies today that are internet-based businesses is because Microsoft. And so why is Microsoft now and not spoken of like Facebook and like Google? I'll tell you why. Because they missed it. Instead of disrupting themselves and staying on the edge and seeing it, they missed it. And when you miss it, you miss the opportunities to be a Google and a Facebook. So my point to you is this. Guys, this is like the aligning of the planets right now.
All right, there you go.
I need you to see this. and see it clearly. I want you to be clear. I've been an employee. I've done all of that stuff. Really, what I'm doing is encouraging you to have the courage to do and take whatever risk, move yourself out of whatever comfort zone you find yourself in, do whatever it takes to not miss this. If you see yourself, when you say, but what about my bills? You've got to kill that immediately. And you say, but why? Because we are the product of our dominating thoughts. Why do people just pay their bills? Because that's the thing they think about all the time. So what is Mr. Thomas doing when he tells you, hey, think about being millions? Think about what he's saying. Forget the bills. Because the reason you're just paying the bills is because that's what you think about. So if I challenge you to disrupt yourself, you'll say, yeah, but I can't because No. If you're not saying, if when I say disrupt yourself, you're not saying, well, I can't because I can't go back to making 100 million when I'm trying to become $1 billion. Now, if you're there, you're good. That's where you need to be. But if what you're saying is, I can't think about 100 million because I got to focus on getting my bills paid, you're in the wrong place.
You know, that's pretty profound. We're so much kindred brothers that I've said to people, and I'm glad you said it. I've said this since March 18th. Never in our lifetime has God stopped the whole world on his axis. Open up the heavens, absolutely, and the clouds are in alignment, absolutely, for a business such as the time as this. And people, absolutely, still sitting around waiting. I don't get that. And I loved how you said that. It's just like, man, that's like, I just heard myself say it come out of your mouth. I love it.
I'm going to prove it.
Go ahead.
I'm going to prove it with this last statement. One thing. I always use the Bible because I see it as my book of truth. So I always need a truth to base my decision-making on. So I always use the Bible. And I know we've heard law of attraction, your dominating thoughts, like attracts like, and I know that, but is this true? Is this statement really true? And it is true. And it's true in a story that most of us miss this. The book of Job opens up and says that Job was perfect and upright man, and how his wife was how he had kids, and then it talks about how he lost everything in moments. He lost all of his children, he lost all his possessions, all of his servants, he lost everything. Once one closed his mouth, the other one started telling him what he lost, and once that one closed his mouth, and the Bible says that prior to that, it said that Job would wake up every day and sacrifice just in case his kids. What is it? I forget what this is. They not disown God, but something God. Disown. So he sacrificed to cover that. And so he still lost everything. And I said earlier that we are the products of our dominating thoughts. Later on in scripture, it says, Job says, the thing I feared the most has come upon me. Of course. That's what we don't get. Fear doesn't make things go away. Fear attracts things to us. That's why he says, I didn't give you the spirit of fear. I gave you 3 things to make all your decisions on: love, power, and a sound mind. So use your intellect, the strength that is in you, and love as a guide for all decision making. Never use fear. Now, fear is an emotion. And it is one necessary to keep you safe, but not to make decisions. And so the thing that we think about, that's why one of the things I work with kids when he says, I'm never going to be like my dad. That's the worst thing for you to say because you'll be exactly like your dad. Well, why is that? Because you will be whatever dominates your thoughts. So if all you think about is your dad not being like him, you'll be exactly like him. Well, how could that be possible? Because that's all you thought about. So if you want to be something else, that's what you need to be thinking about. You need to think about what you want to be, not what you don't want to be.
Amen.
So, go ahead.
Man, that was powerful. And it's so true. Whatever the mind of man could conceive, it can achieve. Right there in the Bible. Everything is Bible. Everything's out the Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. It's all in that little black book. And then modern day people philosophize it, but it's all in that little book. It all comes out of that same thing. And I'm so happy you said that. Mm-hmm. Hey, we had a question. Mr. Edmund Smith, take your phone off and you have a question, sir, for Mr. Williams.
Unmute. He's muted.
Unmute yourself, sir. Let me go in there and take a look. All right. I don't.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
Beautiful morning from Los Angeles. Edmund, hi.
Hi, Edmund.
Firstly, thank you so much for confirming a dream that I had this morning about not going. I appreciate it so much, truly. So the question that I do have for you is, on the journey of climbing your mountain, there will inevitably be distractions and the discernment to what's good and what's almost. So what things do you do to keep yourself in check to being in agreement with God's will for your life and vision, as opposed to what you might think that you want, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a really good question, actually, because I mentor a lot. I actually do. And if you ask a lot of people around me, they'll say probably too much, but I'm not sure you can do it too much, because I think when God has blessed you, I think that becomes your responsibility. So that's why, once again, a lot of kudos to Mr. Thomas for doing this. This is a big deal. This is what people need, is this kind of time, mentorship. So how do I do it? As a young guy, you know how they talk about the
You're still a young man.
Young pony. I was a young pony, man. I was just kicking and pulling, trying at the same time. As I began to look at life and understand, I took too many things too serious. See, if you understand that there are no mistakes or failures in life, then you understand that everything that happens has a reason for happening, and there is a benefit. So most people perceive things as mistakes and failures. No. They're only failures if you don't learn from them. They can't teach you something that you didn't already know, because once you learn it, you won't do it again. But if you never learn it, or if you never go there, you'll never progress past it, or you'll never face it. So even what we call failures and mistakes, I don't believe they exist. There's only one way to fail, and that is to quit learning. So we have to, think about it. If I'm climbing a mountain and I put my foot in that place and it slips, I haven't made a mistake or failed. I just know now that's not a place to put my foot to progress to the next step. So I'll find a different place to keep moving. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anybody else?
While we're waiting for one other person or somebody else, the fourth thing I had on my list, something that you said that I regurgitated, was pain of change.
Yeah. Well, you know.
You just kind of touched on that too. And I think a lot of people don't understand. It's like, who moved my cheese? You keep going back to the same thing, wish for the same thing. Your cheese have been moved since March 19th and 18th. And I want to give people on the call here something. I want you to give them something that they need to understand. They need to move, do something, and quit looking in the rearview mirror. And I like the analogy you gave of the airplane that don't have rearview mirrors.
Yeah, they don't. Have you ever taken that time? Definitely the Learjets. Definitely the airplanes Mr. Thomas flies on. Look at him. Look how he always try to be modest. He look away from the camera when you ever bring that up. But that is the truth. This young man has been for 20, 30 years, he's been flying on an airplane with no. Why? Because when you're moving at that elevation, at that speed, you don't have time to be looking around and looking back. You don't have time for that. Who's looking around? If you're looking around and you see another airplane next to you, you're in trouble. that will be a problem at that point. So if you got an airplane that needs mirrors, You probably, if you're looking to fly on that plane and it's got mirrors, you may want to bail on that flight. That may not be a flight you want to be on, because we're not supposed to be moving at that speed and elevation next to somebody else like a car. I mean that is not a. So change is a crazy thing. And I know there are a lot of quotes about it. Now, and for young people, I will say this, and I say this to my kids. I've been doing this a long, long time. And so most of the people that I work with, mentor, they say, man, no, I only know the answers because I made all the mistakes. I need you to know that. And so I didn't have the mentors. And so when I see young people seek out mentorship, to me, that's the most incredible decision. It's not the stuff you learn. It's that you had the wherewithal to know and to subject yourself to somebody for information. That's the seed of who you become. It's not all of the nourishing and the growth and all of that. The seed of it is that decision to seek out mentorship and to receive it, accept it, and apply it. That's the key. And so the knowledge is a byproduct of that one decision. And so that once you made that decision, that was the key change. And so that is this decision most people don't make. And then many that do make the first half of that decision don't follow through with the back half, meaning take the advice of that mentor. And definitely the last thing you want to do is filter the information that the mentor gives you through your own lens of your knowledge and understanding. Not suggesting that you shouldn't apply stuff that you may know to add your flavor, but you got to understand they've been there, and in many cases they didn't go there successfully. They only learned from the mistakes they made, and so what they're doing is insulating you from that. And so the changes we make, the fastest way to make change, there's two ways there are two ways to introduce change into your life. The first one is through experience. That's the most painful one. But unfortunately, that's the path most people choose. Or a trusted mentor or advisor. That's the least painful. But those are the two ways. And so what most of us do, say, hey, man, we don't actually deliberately say it. We just do it in life. I'm going to just wing it. I'm going to figure this thing out. No, absolutely not. You will not. Why? Because it's not built inherently into the design of life. Life's inherent design is that we build on each other. And so in your life, God is going to place people who are placed there to provide nourishment. That's why my favorite book, the Bible, says, Paul planted, Apollos watered. It's just my job to give the increase, but I can't increase what has not yet been planted and watered. I only increase things that have already sought planting and watering, nourishment. Once they've sought planting and nourishment, then I come along and I increase it.
You know, that's so important. It's like in our business, we plant the seed of the opportunity, we get them started, and we get the increase. And people, it's the same thing. That's why I tell people, you got to go out there and prospect every single day. Miss Ismail, she's on the phone. Miss Natasha Ismail, always planning, always. So how your numbers look today? Because we have a standing call. And I got 9 people. I got 12 people. I got 35. You know, because you got to keep planting to get the seed, to plant the seeds, to get the water it, to get the increase. And people, it's this numbers game. Real quick, we got one question for you. Real quick, we got another gentleman out in Japan. Mr. Payon out in Japan has a question for you. Mr. Payon, are you there, sir? Out in Japan.
Yes, sir. This is. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. Hello, Mr. Williams. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Great, thank you. I have a question. Could you tell me some advice about time management? I really want to fly with this ACN. What do you do on a daily basis to be the best you can be, to manage the time to the fullest? That's my question. If you could tell me some tips, you know, to be the best I can be. I don't know if you can answer that, but maybe I can learn from you.
Here's what I would say. You cannot manage time because time is set. You get your 24 hours a day, period. And so what you have to manage is your use of time. Now, and I knew that's what you're saying, but I always do the word thing. So I'm not being technical. So trust me, I'm not.
Okay.
So because how we think about it, it will kind of really. And so I want to separate the two things. So how we use our time. So use of time is based on prioritization. What are the things important in my life? Well, I remember a gentleman would say, how do you determine what's important to a person? Is look at how they spend their money. Well, I will agree with that, but more so than their money is how they spend their time. How do I know that this person is, his family means a lot to him? Because many people say they do, but if I don't spend time with them, they don't. Well, many of us can't say that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it took me a while, but it's something that I had to come to. I had to begin to tell myself the truth. Dwight, your family is not important to you. Well, that's not true, Dwight. I'm talking to myself. But that's not true. They are important. No, Dwight, they're not. You don't spend time with them. How could they be important when you don't spend time with them? You're lying to yourself. And as long as you're lying to yourself, you lie to everybody else and you're good. Not good, but but when you start lying to yourself, you're deceived. And now there ain't no hope because you don't know what, you can't separate truth from untruth anymore. And so I began to have to start saying to myself, who are you? Because who you are is defined by what you do. And how I use my time was how I began to determine who I was. And once I decided that this who I am is not who I want to be anymore, I began to change how I use my time and my money. Mr. Thomas, look how he's using his time. I always go back to him. Look how he's using his time. So how do I know what's important to him? Mr. Thomas, how many more calls you got today?
I've got, well, we have a 6 o'clock happy hour call tonight, which is a lot of fun. I've got 2 more between now and then. So I got 3 more calls today. So, and 1 is another country and 2 are in the United States with 3 other states on.
Absolutely. So now you say, well, but Mr. Thomas can do that because he has the credibility. It's not true, actually. I want to tell you something, and this is a true statement, what I'm about to tell you. It's more difficult to build this business in his position than it is in your position. You may not believe that, but it's a true statement. It's harder to build this business with credibility than without, because most people will, because the truth is, I can handle the detachment when I communicate with somebody if I'm talking to them from a place where they are familiar. But if I'm rolling up in a Lamborghini, yes, they're impressed, but in the back of their mind, they're saying, I probably can't do that. Because if that weren't true, why isn't everybody driving a Lamborghini? People say they want it, but when they look at it, they separate themselves and say, yeah, I want it, but you know, those people can do that. Everybody's not meant to do that. I can't tell you the number of people that have said to me, Dwight, you're special. Everybody can't do what you did. That's not true. So how I use and what I believe determines how I use my time. And so now, how do I build this business? Well, we say it all the time. The business is a numbers game. Are you doing things to produce numbers? So most will say, most will say, yeah. But then I think most of us, I'm going to talk about me. When I started in this business and I stepped back and I said, well, Dwight, are you really doing things that produce numbers? Yeah, I am. So what are you doing? I go to Starbucks, man. And there's people be coming through there. So that's the numbers right there. Pump the brakes. How many did you talk to? It's two different things, buddy. That the fact that they're coming through the door is something completely different than you actually peaking. And I wasn't peaking any of them. So none of those were my numbers. Yeah, I was in a place where the numbers were, but I wasn't doing anything with them. So then I have to ask myself the question, why aren't you doing anything with those numbers? Because it's not what's important to me. That wasn't important to me. If it were important to me, I would have been hitting everybody come through that door. And when it became important to me, that's what I did. And so you'll say, then how do I manage my time? No. You manage you using your time. And so you say, I'm gonna tell you, you could, if you really decided, you could say, you know what, I'm gonna do 2 hours concentrated every day, but I gotta hit 100 people. And then you say to yourself, how do I do that? And you can say, I need to hit 100 people a day or 200 people a day. Listening to Mr. Thomas, obviously Miss Ismail must be doing something like that, am I right? Is that, they gotta be doing, and so if that is the case, then all you gotta do is look around you. What tools do I have? I have social media, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have coffee shop, I have gym, I have, and so you say, let me take all of those, put them in a bucket. Every day, I have to hit 100 people in that bucket every single day. That's how I know who I am, and I've made a decision. This is the person I want to be, and this is the person I'm going to invest myself in becoming. That's how you manage your time. You don't manage your time by stressing yourself out, saying, oh, I've got 30 minutes, I got 50 minutes, I got 45 minutes, I got to get this. No, you don't do it that way. You don't stress yourself. You make everything you do a part of who you are, and you'll never work a day in your life.
You know, I'm going to jump in there a little bit. You know, I have Mr. Baker. I have Mr. Baker laughing at me because he goes, "Where are you off today?" After the conference call's over, he knows I either go to Costco, Big Lots, or I head over to I go to 99-cent store. There's a couple of little areas right there because there's people hanging out there, and he laughs at me, and sometimes he goes with me. But the idea, you got to get out, like Mr. Dwight Williams says, you got to get in front of numbers. You got to get numbers. You can't, sit in your house, you got to go out and meet people.
I'm going to give you a trick. I'm going to give you a trick I guarantee will work. I've done it for years. You hear me? And I mean years. Pick a place, coffee shop. Coffee shops are great. You have to go there almost every day, consistent. The more rare the time you choose, the better. Early or late, I would go before 6 o'clock every single day. I recruited one of my best IBOs from scratch. She sat in the Starbucks for 2 days. Now, I've been going for a while, but the earlier you go, the more it attracts. So the unique things you do that attract will draw people to it. If you go in the middle of the day, that's easy. And then most people are not traveling through. But I would go early in the morning, and I would go every single day, almost 5, 6, 7 days a week. And so I became a fixture in the place to the point where I'd have people come up, who are you, man? What do you do? And because it's better to farm than it is to hunt, isn't it? It's better to attract people than to chase people down. But you have to make yourself attractive. People are always attracted to things that are rare, things that they can't see themselves doing. They're saying, man, how is that person doing that? Man, I could never get up this time. Well, he does that every morning. Every time I come in here and get coffee, he's sitting over there. And so eventually they're going to say, what do you do, man? You won't have to ask them. They're going to ask you. And to the point where the young lady that she finally, she says, who the heck are you? I says, I'm Dwight. Why? She says, I counted 100 people a day at least coming to your table talking to you about everything from business to religion and you're just talking to what? And a few days later, I began to mentor her. She changed her career, her life in a few months. And she got into the business and became one of my best IBOs. And it's really that simple. And I'm telling you, you may think I'm pulling your leg, but you pick a coffee shop It'll take you a little while, and you start going there consistent enough for people to see and watch what happens. Somebody's going to come to you and they're going to say, who the heck are you? And what do you do? Because people are attracted to things that are rare.
You know, that's so funny. I got some people, I won't say their names. That's how I found them. It's what you're doing. It's the same coffee shop. It's amazing. Yeah. I love that. And I love what you just said. This is a quote I wrote down. Matter of fact, not only my notes, but I put it in my journal. This was so powerful. And my appointment book in the front of it. And I have to put your name in it. And it said, people are always attracted to things that are rare. Bow. See, now I got my, oh my God, I got my money's worth right there. Bye.
That's why, what's his name? Don King. That's why Don King says, set yourself on fire. Make yourself unique and rare, and people will come to see you. That's what he means. Do something that is different, and people will come to see you.
Set yourself on fire and let the rest of the world come out, watch you burn. That is so true. People, I don't know why people get in this little cubicle and they just get out your box, folks. In other words, break out. You have our permission to break out of the ordinary to be something extraordinary. I'll say it again. Break out of being ordinary and become something extraordinary. Because all of you have it in you, because God doesn't make junk. So why are you complacent on what your mom and your daddy, your uncle, your sister, cousin, brother, pastor, minister, rabbi, deacon, bishop, evangelist said about you? Y'all got to drop that crapola and become what God made you is great. That's why every time I send something out to anybody, the great this, the great that, because people are great. All your life, you were told you were never nothing. Mount to something. You are worth it. Hey, I want to give Mr. Dwight Williams a hand. Can we show him some love today? Wow, man, if y'all didn't get this, real quickly, Mr. Bree Clemens is going to put on the site here a minute ago. But tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. is happy hour. Tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. is happy hour. Tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock p.m. I'll be doing leadership. On Saturday night, 6 o'clock p.m. training. Miss Ismail is going to do scripts, and she's going to do scripts on how to talk to people. Here's the August schedule on your right on there now. There's August schedule. Everything's the same. 6 o'clock p.m. product training. Ms. Ismail's got it this Sunday, excuse me. Monday through Friday are 9 o'clock call, Pacific Coast time. If you're in the Central Time Zone, 11, or Eastern Standard Time is 12 noon every day, Monday through Friday. There's a Zoom number. And on Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Well, go back, sir. Go back. Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock on this number. We do a business presentation of 1 through 10. Thursday. And then Saturday night at 6 o'clock is leadership tomorrow night at 6. Now, we got some other things happening in August. Now you can do it, sir. All right, to the left, we got Throwback Momentum Monday. Miss Giles Drizzle is actually on the line today. We're going to get these flyers out over the weekend because I'd like to send them out too early. But they're every Monday in August with a green. I love that. Uh-oh. All right, sorry about that. So every Monday, Miss Giles Driscoll, every Monday in August. To the right, you got Miss Ismail, Miss Natasha Ismail, Wednesday nights. She does a 1 through 10 on a different number, hosted by Mr. Bree Club on Wednesday night. So we got us on Tuesday and Thursday. She got her on Wednesday. It's all at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Coast time. Now, also next month, coming up, we have Thursday, Throwback Thursday, every Thursday with the great Mr. Dean Torelli every Thursday in the month of August. And on Friday, Follow-Up Friday, there you have it, Mr. Brian Nelson. Brian Nelson will be with us on Friday, Follow-Up Friday. So that's every Friday in August. So here again, we do the best we can to bring the best people in front of you guys. And all we ask you to do is go build your business, put people on these calls, and follow up. What if you had 5 or 6 people on the call that signed up today? What would your business look like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks? So don't come back by yourself. Bring other people on your team or new guests on here. That's the beauty of it. Your whole team is welcome. So be a part of that to help build your team. But before we go, let's show Mr. Dwight Williams one more time. Let's show him some love. Let's show him some love. I'll be back tonight at 6:00 p.m. at happy hour. And Mr. Dwight, if you're not busy at 8 o'clock your time, come on back with a cocktail and join us. And we have an open forum tonight because we have so much fun on happy hour. I don't put it on my flyer because it's not AC and sanctioned, so I don't show that. But we have a lot of fun. So come on back at 8 o'clock your time and join us. So can we show Mr. Dwight Williams some love? Come on, y'all. Show him some love. Man, he gave you guys a lot of great information today, a lot of heartfelt stuff. He just talked from his heart and gave you so much to build from. And also remember, in closing, this business is the perfect time for you is right now. Now, if you're not where you need to be, then whose fault is it? As my billionaire mentor, Mr. Kenny Trout, his mother would say, go to the mirror, Kenny, and ask the person in the mirror why you're not where you need to be. And that person will show up in the mirror to tell you who can make it happen if they really, truly want to. So, folks, I want to thank Mr. Dwight Williams for coming on. Look like you got a little Japanese outfit on there, like a sensei today with the top, the black and white. I love it. So, God bless you, sir. Thank you so much. Everybody, one more time. Can we give him one more time? Thank you so much. There you go, Miss Tamara McDowell.